Crime Story, The Shadows of Betrayal. The Mysterious Disappearance. Section 1, A Quiet Night. It was a chilly evening in the small town of Glenwood. Detective Aaron Chase was sipping his coffee when his phone buzzed with an urgent call. A prominent businessman, Michael Hawthorne, had vanished without a trace. The streets were eerily silent as Aaron grabbed his coat, feeling a sense of unease settle over him. As he drove to the Hawthorne estate, he couldn't shake the feeling that this case would be unlike any other. Michael's family had reported him missing only hours ago, but something about the timeline didn't add up. Aaron's gut told him this was no ordinary disappearance. The empty office. The Hawthorne estate loomed large against the night sky, its windows dark except for the faint glow of Michael's office. Aaron entered cautiously, his flashlight cutting through the shadows. Papers were scattered across the desk, and an empty glass of bourbon sat beside them. There were no signs of a struggle, but something felt off. Aaron noticed a note half hidden under a stack of files. It read, "Meet me at midnight. Come alone." The handwriting was unfamiliar. The detective's mind raced as he secured the note and began searching for more clues. A desperate family. In the living room, Michael's wife, Eleanor, sat clutching a photograph of her husband. Her eyes were red from crying. "He wouldn't just leave," she insisted, her voice trembling. Their teenage daughter, Clara, sat silently, her gaze fixed on the floor. Eleanor explained that Michael had received several strange phone calls over the past week, but he hadn't shared any details. Aaron questioned them thoroughly, but it was clear they knew little about his recent activities. The family's fear was palpable, and Aaron promised to do everything he could to find Michael. Unsettling discoveries. Back at the station, Aaron reviewed the evidence. The note suggested a secret meeting, but where? As he examined Michael's financial records, he discovered several large withdrawals over the past month. The transactions were unusual and uncharacteristic of Michael's spending habits. Aaron's suspicions deepened when he found a name linked to one of the transactions: Victor Kane, a known criminal with a reputation for blackmail and extortion. The detective's instincts told him that Victor might hold the key to Michael's disappearance, a trail of secrets. Aaron's first stop was a dingy bar on the outskirts of town, a known haunt for Victor Kane. The bartender, a gruff man named Eddie, claimed not to have seen Victor in weeks, but Aaron noticed Eddie's nervous glances and the way his hands trembled as he wiped the counter. Slipping a few bills across the bar, Aaron leaned in and whispered, "Where is he?" Eddie hesitated before scribbling an address on a napkin. As Aaron left the bar, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Chapter 2. The Encounter with Victor Kane. A dangerous man. Aaron arrived at a rundown warehouse on the edge of town. The air was thick with the stench of gasoline and rust. Inside, Victor Kane sat at a makeshift desk, counting a stack of cash. His sharp eyes flicked up as Aaron entered, and a sly grin spread across his face. "Detective Chase," he drawled, "to what do I owe this pleasure?" Aaron wasted no time, slamming the note and the financial records onto the desk. "What do you know about Michael Hawthorne?" he demanded. Victor's grin faltered, but he quickly recovered, leaning back in his chair. A cryptic warning. Victor's response was evasive, but Aaron could tell he was hiding something. "Michael's in over his head," Victor finally said, lighting a cigarette. "He made some bad deals with the wrong people. But if I were you, I'd tread carefully. You don't want to get caught in the crossfire." Aaron pressed for more details, but Victor refused to elaborate. As Aaron turned to leave, Victor called out, "Watch your back, detective. This case isn't as simple as it seems." The cryptic warning lingered in Aaron's mind as he left the warehouse. An unexpected ally. On his way back to the station, Aaron received a call from an anonymous number. The voice on the other end was distorted but urgent. "If you want to find Michael Hawthorne, follow the money," the caller said before hanging up. Aaron traced the call to a prepaid phone, leaving him with more questions than answers. Frustrated but determined, he decided to dig deeper into Michael's financial dealings, hoping they would lead him closer to the truth. A break in the case. Aaron's investigation uncovered a series of payments to a shell company linked to offshore accounts. The transactions were tied to a high-stakes gambling ring operated by a shadowy figure known only as the broker. As Aaron pieced together the puzzle, He realized that Michael's disappearance might be connected to debts he couldn't repay. With this new lead, Aaron prepared to confront the broker, knowing the risk involved. Into the shadows. Late that night, Aaron found himself outside an exclusive club rumored to be the broker's headquarters. The building exuded wealth and power, a stark contrast to the dark dealings within. Gaining entry was no easy task. But Aaron's badge and determination opened doors. Inside, he saw glimpses of the elite rubbing shoulders with criminals. As he searched for the broker, he felt the weight of eyes on him, knowing he was venturing deeper into dangerous territory. Chapter 3: The Broker's Game. The first encounter. Inside the exclusive club, Aaron maneuvered through the crowd, his senses alert to every shift of the air. He spotted a man in a sharp suit, his face hidden behind dark glasses, sitting in a corner booth. Aaron recognized him immediately: the broker. The man was a notorious figure in the underground world, responsible for countless illicit deals and money laundering schemes. With a steady hand, Aaron approached the booth. The broker looked up, unfazed. "Detective Chase," he greeted coldly. "I thought we might meet eventually." The negotiation. Aaron wasted no time. "I'm here about Michael Hawthorne. He's missing, and I believe you know something about it." The broker's lips twisted into a smile. "You think you can just waltz in here and demand answers?" he asked, his voice smooth as silk. "I don't know where Michael is, but I do know one thing. He was a pawn in a much bigger game, and now it's too late for him." The words hit Aaron like a punch to the gut. Before he could respond, the broker leaned in closer. "You're in over your head, detective. You should walk away before you end up like him." The ominous warning rang in Aaron's ears as he left the club, but his resolve only hardened. A deadly revelation. Back at the station, Aaron found new evidence in Michael's personal files. There were signs of a deeper, darker connection to the gambling ring, a secret partnership with an untraceable syndicate. The more he uncovered, the clearer it became. Michael had become entangled in something far more dangerous than just financial ruin. His disappearance was no accident. It was part of a larger conspiracy that threatened everyone involved. The family's secret. As Aaron dug into Michael's past, he stumbled upon a long-buried secret within the Hawthorne family. A few years ago, Michael had a falling out with his own brother, Leonard Hawthorne, over a business deal gone wrong. Leonard had disappeared shortly after, and the police had never been able to find him. Aaron couldn't ignore the eerie parallel between Leonard's disappearance and Michael's. Was this a case of history repeating itself? Or was someone in the family pulling the strings from behind the scenes? A reckless move. Determined to get answers, Aaron tracked down Leonard's last known location, an abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town. The place was in ruins, but as he stepped through the creaking door, the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. It felt like someone was watching him. With every step, the silence grew heavier, and the shadows seemed to stretch out toward him. Inside, Aaron found a hidden room, its walls covered in cryptic symbols and photographs of Michael, Leonard, and the broker. It became clear that this wasn't just a case of a missing person. It was the beginning of something far more sinister. Chapter 4: The Family's Web. The Hidden Connection. As Aaron revisited the Hawthorne family home, Eleanor was noticeably more nervous than before. She revealed something shocking. Michael had been searching for Leonard in the days leading up to his disappearance, convinced that his brother was alive and in hiding. But she hadn't told anyone, fearing that Michael might be putting himself in danger. Eleanor's confession cast a new light on the case. Was Michael's disappearance linked to Leonard's, or was something darker pulling the strings? The return of Leonard. The next morning, Aaron received a cryptic message from an unknown source. "You're looking in the wrong place." The message led him to a hidden location, a safe house where Leonard had been living in secret. The moment Aaron laid eyes on Leonard, he knew the truth. Leonard wasn't just hiding. He had been orchestrating everything from the shadows. His motives were unclear. But one thing was certain. Leonard was connected to the broker, and he had a hand in Michael's disappearance. Betrayal uncovered. Leonard revealed his twisted plan. He had been using Michael as a pawn in a larger game to take control of the family business. But when Michael began to rebel and started digging into Leonard's past, Leonard had no choice but to silence him. Michael was always too idealistic, Leonard confessed with a cold laugh. He couldn't see the bigger picture. But now you'll never find him. The betrayal hit Aaron like a sledgehammer. The person he had trusted in this case, the victim's own brother, was the mastermind behind everything. A race against time. Aaron now understood the stakes. Leonard's power was far-reaching, and he had the resources to cover his tracks. Aaron's next move was to get to Michael before Leonard did. But it seemed like every lead led to a dead end. With Leonard's influence and the broker's connections, Aaron was no longer sure who he could trust. But one thing was clear. The clock was ticking, and Michael's fate hung in the balance. The final showdown. Aaron's final confrontation with Leonard took place in the heart of the Hawthorne estate, where it all began. It was an intense standoff, both men knowing that only one could walk away alive. Leonard, driven by greed and power, was desperate to cover his tracks. The two men exchanged tense words, but it was Aaron who emerged victorious. He uncovered the truth about Michael's whereabouts, and with the help of his team, they rescued Michael just in time. But as Aaron looked into Leonard's eyes one last time, he knew this was only the beginning. Chapter 5. The Unraveling. The Rescue. Aaron and his team found Michael locked away in a remote location, barely alive but clinging to hope. As they rushed him to safety, Michael revealed more details about Leonard's twisted plans and the broker's role in it all. With Michael's testimony, the police were able to build a case against Leonard and his associates. But Aaron couldn't shake the feeling that the story wasn't over. The last betrayal. In the aftermath of the rescue, Aaron discovered that someone close to him had betrayed him. The person who had been feeding him information about Leonard and the broker turned out to be an undercover informant working for the very syndicate he had been trying to bring down. The realization sent a chill down Aaron's spine. It was clear that even in victory, there was still darkness lurking in the shadows. Chapter 6. The Final Truth. The Hidden Enemy. As Aaron pieced together the final details of the case, he uncovered a hidden enemy, someone who had been working behind the scenes to manipulate everyone involved. This shadowy figure was even more dangerous than Leonard or the broker, and their reach extended far beyond Glenwood. Aaron knew that exposing this figure would take everything he had, but he also knew it was the only way to stop the cycle of betrayal once and for all. The last stand. The final confrontation was fierce, and Aaron was forced to make impossible choices. With the fate of the town and his own life on the line, he fought to bring the truth to light. The battle for justice was not just about Michael or Leonard anymore. It was about a web of corruption that had infiltrated every level of society. In the end, Aaron emerged victorious, but the cost was high. The price of justice. As the dust settled, Aaron stood alone, staring at the wreckage of everything he had uncovered. The price of justice had been steep, and the town of Glenwood would never be the same. But one thing was clear. The shadows of betrayal would never fully disappear. They lingered just beyond the light, waiting for the next story to unfold.